All right, I'm going to make this very short part two as a continuation to the initial introduction ramble small thing. One is to identify where the market continued from that first video a couple like minutes ago, and the other is as far as thinking about this stuff. Right, I've been thinking about what I said in the intro. There's probably a lot of things that I need to break down and explain in smaller chunks. But in short, once you learn this stuff, like once you're reading price action, you don't have to be looking at every single little like high and low and etc. But it's more of a tool that you use again at your discretion, and you use as a tool to help gauge where price could move. So if you're already in something, or if you took a trade because of any other reason, not just pure price action, let's say it's an indicator, right? So I'll flip over to that. So let's just say, let me there's a lot going on. But let's use this line right here, right? The blue one and the white one, then turns to blue and turns to white. This just so happens to be one of our indicators between myself and someone else. Either way, all right. Let's say here the line turned blue, right? And you were aiming to the downside. Okay. If that was the case and you did that short for whatever reason, and you're aiming to the downside, you would enter. So boom, price closes here. You would enter here on this next candle short, and you would target, for example, this area here, the body, because you know that's important, or you could target the wick or this wick, right? And you'd have probably uh, varying levels of risk to wait for, right? So the least risky would be this body right here. Then the more risky would be waiting for this wick, and then the most risky is waiting for that wick. Not that it's risky, more in that the chances are that you're going to touch first this level, then that level, then that level. And again, as you see volume change throughout whatever session you're trading or ticker or whatnot, you'll be able to gauge whether you want to, let's say you entered here and price is approaching this low and you start to see it wicking right away. Well, and you say, well, now I'm going to move myself to break even, right, instead of my stop. I'm gonna move myself to break even, and now I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna see what happens at this low. If it starts to reject too much, I can just take a little profit, take all profit, or just wait for it to hit stop. Your break even. So that's what they are. All this stuff is a gauge, right? And I want to show price continuation, right? So what happened? I always like to retest whatever gap was formed, and on this weakness here, right? Let's just say I would have been along and it takes me out. Now we finally come back to test that. Now we're holding that, right? And then now we're confirming that we're holding this low. And let's just say, okay, well, you know what? I took a long only because of this indicator turning white. Okay, well, I entered here with a stop below here, let's say. And what am I targeting now? Well, I'm targeting, ultimately, I'd like to target all the way up here. However, I know that on this run, again, I'm going to have to look out for me. This is going to get taken out, but on this run right here, right, you got to look to see what happens. And you might just surge like what happened here, surge straight through where it hit the wick, it hit the body. And now we attempted the high, right? We never reached it. So now two things could happen. You can stay in that trade and wait to achieve that. Or if for any reason it takes you out, now you have to wait to retest this high here, which still has yet not to be retested, right? Because you broke over this this high, right? So let's say we fail here, and ultimately you want to hit, just this high right here. All right. Well, now you're gonna have to, if price reverses again, closes under, and starts to push down, you're supposed to healthily retest this wick right here. Ultimately, you could come down from the wick to the bodies of that high, right? And then ultimately down to here. You don't want to see it get past here because this is your demand. And again, things I need to explain. And I'm getting into price action again, but you don't have to think about this all the time. It's just things that you can use as a gauge. So to say, okay, I got in along here, and I'm going to take my profit right here, or I'm going to take my profit right there. Okay, cool, done deal. And you're aware of the risk, right? This is more likely to hit. This is less likely to hit, and this is least likely to hit. And you know where to aim. But yeah, that's basically it. They don't want to overcomplicate it, or have you think that it's very complex. It's just one of the many tools that you use to navigate the market. So yeah, all right, cool.